His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Substanticacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Natkudi Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Govnath Shankar Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Shri Radha Golokananda Ki Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Shri Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Gaunitai Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Goprinanande. All glories to this Sama devotees. All glories to this Sama devotees. All glories to this Sama devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So dear devotees, well wishers, Maharajas, and so many senior devotees, welcome. I feel like being on the battlefield of Kurukshetra tonight. Yes, tonight is a really wonderful and unique night that we are all witnessing. Just like Arjuna was on the battlefield, and we could read so many verses describing all the Maharathis on that battlefield. Tonight, my hand is trembling to mention so many sweet, nice devotees here assembled at Venu Gita Dham. So let me try to mention few of them for my own purification. Dear devotees, tonight, before us stand such warriors, those who have renounced personal comforts, who travel tirelessly, who speaks fearlessly, and who chants relentlessly. Dear devotees, they are sannyasis, soldiers of mercy, carrying the message of Bhagavad Gita, and it is from town to town and from heart to heart. And tonight, Bamboo is blessed with so many nice devotees. Here we go! It is with great, deep gratitude and reverence that we, the inhabitant here, the birthplace of His Auspicious Chaitanya Goswami Maharaj, his birth village, we now welcome these wonderful warriors of Krishna consciousness who continue to fight with compassion against illusion and Maya. So, dear devotees, among us we have a lot of Maharathis. I will name few of them. We have our amidst tonight. We have the great fortune to welcome His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj Ki. Maharaj is a senior disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Prabhupada Ki. Yes, we are blessed by the best. Maharaj is a dedicated sannyasi preacher and spiritual guide, known for his deep scriptural understanding and humility and compassion. Personally, I would say Maharaj can take you in seconds from anywhere to Vrindavan Dham by just his narration. So we are so fortunate to have such a wonderful narrator tonight. We are also blessed to have great fortune to welcome His Holiness Bhakti Janandas Anugrah Maharaj Ki. Maharaj is senior disciple of His Holiness Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj Ki. And dear devotees, tonight is really special because let me remind myself that this project where we are sitting tonight was launched by not other than His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj Ki. Years back, when I was still a Bhakta, I didn't have to chant the Hare Krishna. I attended Maharaj, came here to launch this project. And tonight, I see Maharaj's blessing with Janardhan Maharaj's personal presence here. Thank you, Maharaj. We have also His Srila Chaitanya Goswami Maharaj Ki. Srila Chaitanya Goswami Maharaj, he is the pillar of so many projects, including this preaching center, with his love, compassion, his guidance. So we are here tonight. We also have His Grace Giridhari Prabhu. Welcome, Prabhu. We have Gaur Gopal Prabhu, Acharya Ratna Prabhu. And just like the Bible says, I can't mention all the warriors. It will take like tomorrow. I won't be finishing Maharaj, and Maharaj won't be able to give a lecture. So I'll beg your pardon for that. I will cut short by requesting him. Vikasa Prabhu to please come forward and offer His Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj a token of love. Hare Bol! And I will request now Prabhu Ashish to please come forward and offer a token of love to His Holiness Bhakti Anugrah Janardhan Maharaj Ki. Let me now summon His Grace Adhyatmika Prabhu, our senior most devotee and Bamboo, the pillar of this sector, who's running the whole sector, to please come forward with token of love to welcome His Holiness Srila Chaitanya Goswami Maharaj Ki. And definitely, let's not forget the person who is also supporting the whole Yatra Ocean Yatra. Let me call upon Mahen Prabhu to welcome His Grace Harideva Prabhu. Harideva Prabhu is always backing us, helping us, and always staying at the back. Thank you again. So dear devotees, without taking much of your time, let me request Maharaj to please, Maharaj, can you please give us some nectar and drive us to Vrindavan and all the Dhamas. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shmati Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Nalane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurav Hari Pracharane Nirda Vishesha Shungavadi Pastyachali Shatarne Vajkam Charubhyas Chakri Pasindubhya Evacha Paritana Pavanedyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, thank you very much for the very warm, even hot welcome. It was quite a welcome. And tout le monde comprend anglais. Anyway, I guess, I guess you have to.
We'll arrange one.
I have one question. I can say a few words. I've been given a subject to say a few words about. But I understand also we have I have to give some certificates out. We should do that, at the end, I suppose. Okay. Yes, so I have been requested, I have been ordered to say a few words about relationships with devotees, relationships amongst devotees, that type of subject, very foundational, very important, and very wonderful subject. And as Prabhuji was pointing out, we have here, it's quite a collection of devotees, senior devotees. Bhakti Anugraha Janardhan Maharaj is, I think, co-president, am I right, at Krishna Balaram Temple in Sri Vrindavan Dham. What a great responsibility, what a great honor to have a service like that. And Bhakti Sundar Chaitanya Maharaj, well, what can I say? He is Sundar Chaitanya, I am Bhakti Chaitanya. We are brothers. Must be. It's some special arrangement, but it's very nice. We've known each other many years, I think more than 30 years. So, but anyway, first of all, a few words about devotees and relationships with devotees, service to devotees, and related subjects. Such a wonderful topic. And, when I think of this subject, well, actually, a fact is that we have done seminars on the subject lasting for days in the past. Things like how to get good association, how to give good association, how to get bad association, how to give bad association. Actually, we do a seminar on this subject, one day on each particular part, like how to give good association, that's one day, so it's a 4-day seminar. And it's really extremely valuable seminar and very important subject. Then, of course, how to serve devotees, how to appreciate devotees, and of course, the need to be careful how we associate with devotees and be very wary of offending or causing any disturbance to devotees. All these points are there, and each one of them is worthy of really deep discussion and contemplation and so on like that. In fact, I was just reading about the great devotee Srila Raghunath Bhatta, Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, the principal associates and servants of Lord Chaitanya. And I think we've all heard the name of Raghunath Bhatta before, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, towards the end, towards the later part, there's a very interesting, let us say, very interesting, but not long, but very deep discussion about certain aspects of the nature of Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami would not speak ill of any devotee. And if he happened to be in the presence of some other devotee or other devotees, and somehow some discussion along those lines, some talking ill of a devotee, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he would just leave the place. He would just leave the place. And he wouldn't make some sort of announcement. He would just be gone. And even if there was talk about something that a devotee had actually done wrong, some actual fault, like genuine discrepancy, he just wouldn't stay, he wouldn't hear the discussion. You know, it would be, some would say that this is a little overly sensitive, or taking the point. Some might think taking it too far, but this is what he did. It's a fact. And it's recorded in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yes, he would not tolerate, he could not, and he would not tolerate criticism of devotees, even if the criticism was arguably valid, true. To him, devotees were devotees, and where there were discrepancies, Krishna will take care in due course, so why do we need to make an issue of it? And that in itself is a very valuable point. You know, in this world, people are prone to appreciate themselves, and they're very quick to appreciate themselves and express some ideas about how good they feel they are. But they are very prone to point out some fault. This is just in general. Materialistic people are like that. And, you know, there's a saying that old habits die hard. And when we come to Krishna consciousness, then that tendency may sometimes show itself, and someone may start criticizing another devotee. But anyway, we should really be very careful of that. Always look on the bright side with the devotees, that even if a devotee has a fault, and let's face it, that there are hangovers from our lives in material life, and these things may be there sometimes. But what is the need to focus on these types of subjects? There's no need. Maybe if you are a very senior official in Prabhupada's movement, it may be part of your service to try to correct when there is some fault. But if it's not your service, please don't do it. but rather, well, Prabhupada would say that the bee, the honeybee, is attracted to honey, sweetness, but the fly is attracted to dirty things. And probably we've all had experience of that. And we don't want to involve ourselves in that. In the fourth canto it's pointed out in the section dealing with Daksha criticizing and cursing Lord Shiva. And very amazing things are said that if you hear blasphemy, then either you should kill yourself or kill the blasphemer. Haribol. But if you're not capable of that, and I would advise you to not be capable of that, actually. But at least, whether you can try and correct the person, and if you can't do that, just get away. I mean, somewhere along the line it says you can cut the person's tongue out. That may be a bit of a challenge also. But you get the idea. These things are taken extremely seriously. Just so really seriously. And I've, on numerous occasions, had a look in the I think it's Anshalila, is it chapter 16 or somewhere around there? The story of one of Raghunath Das, Goswami's uncles, whose name was Kali Das. And Kali Das, I assume so many of you, maybe all of you have heard the lessons, descriptions of the lessons we can learn about the life and the practices of Kali Das, because devotees talk about them quite regularly. But let me just mention that Kali Das, he appreciated devotees so much that he made it his life's mission to try and get three things. The water that is washed, the lotus feet of a devotee, the dust of the lotus feet of a devotee, and the food remnants, prasadam remnants of a devotee. And he was it was his life's mission. He would just go out every day and in one way or another try to get those things from devotees. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, in that particular chapter, in the course of this, or coming to the end of the description, Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that because he was just so, you could say, determined to get those things. But it wasn't just simply determined, but he was so devoted to those things. He valued those things so much because he valued the devotees so much. And because he valued those things, and ultimately it reflects the fact he had such faith in devotees. So Chaitanya Charitamrita there in that chapter makes the point that Kalidas got the supreme mercy of Lord Chaitanya. He got more mercy from Lord Chaitanya than anybody else, because he valued those three things so much, which was because he valued the devotees so much. And Lord Chaitanya appreciated that so much that he gave him, Chaitanya Charitamrita says, he gave Kalidas his supreme mercy. And, I'm sure you're all familiar with the story. I'll just mention that one little part is that Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri, when he would go to have darshan of Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi, before going up the stairs leading into the actual temple room and the deity room, Lord Chaitanya would have his feet washed. Someone would be there, maybe Kashishvara, who was he's described as being his body, Lord Chaitanya's bodyguard. He would pour water, and Lord Chaitanya would sort of extend his feet, and the water was poured over his feet. And it describes that Lord Chaitanya was very careful to see that nobody got that water. But in the case of Kalidas, the description is really quite amazing. Kalidas would come, and now water is being poured, Lord Chaitanya's foot is extended, Kalidas would come in underneath and get some of the water and drink it. And then second time some more water and get some more, just put his hands, cupped hands, right beneath the feet of Lord Chaitanya and drink a second lot, and then a third lot, same thing. And then a fourth time he put his hands out. And Lord Chaitanya would say, Kalidas, you've had enough. Basically like that, It's okay, Kalidas, relax. So, but Lord Chaitanya allowed him, because he was aware that this was going on, Lord Chaitanya allowed him to take the water that had washed his lotus feet 3 times. And this is like every day. Kalidas was not living there, but he would come with the devotees for the Rathayatra and stay with the devotees for a few months. And every day during those visits, that's what he'd do. So, to just help us appreciate how special that treatment was from Lord Chaitanya. In the Madhya Lila chapter 12, there's a description of the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. And again, it's another pastime I'm sure you're all familiar with. But Lord Chaitanya was up on the altar in the Gundicha temple. It's a very simple altar. It's kind of like a box. Yeah, not very ornate or, like that. It's just a box. And the Jagannath deities are placed on top, and that's it for a week. So Lord Chaitanya, all his associates were cleaning the temple, literally from the ceiling down to the floor. And Lord Chaitanya particularly, he was on the altar, and he was kneeling on the altar, and his feet just happened to stick out over the edge of the altar. And one or a couple of, or at least one Bengali devotee, in a kind of, you could say, nonchalant way, if you know what I mean, like, life is going on, and what shall I, got some water here, what shall I do with it? I'll pour it onto this altar. And this devotee kind of nonchalantly poured it over the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, which was sticking out over the edge of the altar. and another devotee got in underneath and took some and was trying to drink it. But Lord Chaitanya, he appreciated it. But he expressed himself in such a way like he really didn't appreciate it. And he called for Swarup Damodar Goswami, who's like the senior most or very senior devotee amongst the Bengali devotees. And Lord Chaitanya said to Swarup Damodar Goswami, just see what your Bengali devotee did. This is very bad what he did. He shouldn't have done that. Yes. So, that standard was there. And even where the story of Kalidas is, the point is made that Lord Chaitanya would not allow that water to be distributed. But he allowed it with Kalidas. He allowed it 3 times. And 4th time he didn't chastise him, like, what do you think you're doing, or something like that. He just said, that's enough. That's enough. Leave it at that. So in this way, that chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita makes the point that Kalidas got the supreme mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Nobody, even, we won't mention names, but just even great associates of Lord Chaitanya, they didn't really get that special favor from Lord Chaitanya. So it's really important. And therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author, he makes the point. He addresses the devotees, my dear devotees. He says, I insist again and again. I mean, he really emphasizes very strongly. I insist again and again. You must have faith in these 3 things. The water that has washed the lotus feet of the devotees, the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees, and the food remnants, prasada remnants of the devotees. And it's because they're those things of the devotees. Now, we don't necessarily, in fact, we don't want to start, some sort of phenomenon tonight, particularly, of everyone trying to get these things, particularly like prasadam time. But at least we should bear it in mind, because it's true, and because it's there in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it's really emphasized extremely strongly. And it's based on appreciating the devotees. Why is that water so special? Why is the dust so special? Why are the food leftovers so special? Because they're from the devotees. Yes, so such people then, who are valued so much, even by someone like Lord Chaitanya and other extremely great personalities, those are the devotees. We have to value them. We must value them, and we must try to serve them. Srila Prabhupada, there's a letter. It's not one of the most famous or well-known, but it's sort of one of the better-known letters. One devotee, it may have been Tamal Krishna Goswami, was talking about how he's trying to serve the devotees in the temple where he was staying. And Srila Prabhupada replying he notes that and appreciates that you are trying to find the service side of the devotees. Prabhupada appreciates that. So, when we do our, I do different seminars. I do the one, that I mentioned, that how to serve the devotees, how to offend them, etc., like that. But then there are others. There are other seminars we do on just relationships with devotees. And when we do that, then we usually at some point during the few days that we do the seminar, we usually, or even pretty much always, we tell the devotees that today we want you. In fact, we don't just want, but you must render some service to one of the devotees. Somehow or other, you must render some service to one of the devotees who's here, taking part in the seminar. Once in the GBC meetings, some years ago, it was before COVID, we did a special program over like a week or some number of days during the meetings. It was called Agyata Sakha. Agyata Sakha. Agyata means unknowing, unknown. Sakha, friend. And the idea was, each one of us, all the GBC members, 30 or 30 something, whatever, was given the name, each one was given a name of another GBC member. And every day we had to do something for them without that devotee knowing that it was us. Therefore it's agyata, it's unknowing. Friend who's doing some things for you. And I remember I had an agyata sakha, and I remember during the lunch break there was a knock on the door. I was staying in the Conch building, and there was a knock on the door, and I got up and I went over to the door, opened the door. There was no one there but devotees. There was a pizza bed. Yes, from my Agyata Sakha. I found out at the end, I think it was Buddha Chaitanya Prabhu, but anyway, yeah. Another day, there was not exactly a knock, maybe there was a knock on the door, but there was sort of like a shuffling. And an envelope was pushed under the door of the room, into the room. So I got up and picked up the envelope, and would you believe there was 50 euros in it? Seriously. So, anyway, it was really nice. And, these are some things that that all devotees can do from time to time. And they enrich our lives. It's one thing to be very busy and fully engaged in devotional service, and it's extremely important to be fully engaged and not sort of lazing around. Prabhupada did say, after all, that in Krishna consciousness there is no place for lazies or crazies. So maybe not so many crazies, but we don't want to be lazy either. So that's good to be fully engaged. It's very important to be fully engaged in devotional service. But we must also try to serve the devotees and help the devotees and like that. So at the end of these seminars, I often tell the devotees, because most of the attendees are householders living at home with their family and coming to the temple maybe more on Sundays than other days. So I often tell them that I would like it if you, from now on, at least one day a week, do some service for a devotee. Somehow do something. Yeah. You know, how would you know what service to render to a devotee when you could always just ask them? Sometimes devotees ask me, I've been asked how many times, I couldn't tell you, but plenty of times, how can you tell if your spiritual master is pleased with your service or not? And one of my main answer is, try asking him. Ask him if he's satisfied or not. Yeah, otherwise, if you're going to try and sort of psychoanalyze him to find out if he's happy with you or not, it's not really the right way to go about things. So, yeah, we must render service to the devotees. And, this famous verse in Nectar of Instruction, Dadati Pradigrinati Goyamakyati Pruchati Bhunte Bochayate Chaiva Shadvidam Priti Lakshanam. 6 kinds of loving exchanges. Dadati Pradigrinati. Give a gift. And if a gift is given to you, accept it. Don't refuse it. Guryamakyati Pruchati. Reveal your mind, reveal your heart to a devotee, or at least to a suitable devotee. Don't just reveal your heart like, your deeper feelings in life and Krishna consciousness. Don't just reveal those feelings and thoughts to just anyone, or like your problems. It's not unusual that a devotee may have some sort of problem, some sort of challenge in his or her life. So you can reveal that to a suitable devotee. But if you reveal it to an unsuitable devotee, then that unsuitable devotee may tell others, and before you know this, you become the subject of gossip. And someone walks up to you and says, "Oh, I didn't know you had that problem." You know what I mean? It's not good. But we should reveal our hearts to suitable devotees. Guyam Akyati Prichati, who can then respond in suitable terms to help. If it's a challenge or, in whatever's a suitable way, depending on what you present to the devotee. And Bhunte Bojayate Chaiva, to give prasad and accept prasad. Now, of course, that's the easy one, isn't it? That's the easiest one. Particularly receiving prasad, accepting prasad. That's almost too easy, actually. At least there's one thing you don't have to worry about in Krishna consciousness. At least it's extremely rare. And that is a shortage of prasadam. But really, what is more likely to be a problem is too much prasadam. Yeah. What's your cholesterol level, etc. But But this is all coming from Srila Rupa Goswami, and Prabhupada, of course, gives time. You gave a gift to another devotee. Anyway, you think about it. Yeah, and a gift, something, not just a gift of a little knowledge like chant Hare Krishna. I just gave him a gift. I mean, it's true. But, really give something. A gift. Anyway, I leave that with you to think about, but you should know that Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada, they have explained these 6 things or 3 sets of 2 things each, with the idea of teaching us, inspiring us, that we will do them. We must do them. Yes. And just to sort of round off a little, what I'm going to do? I'll just read a verse. It's actually one of my favorite verses. It's, to me at least, it's really very special. It's the first canto, chapter 2. And it's verse 16. Just a second. Yes, it's verse 16. Shushushro Shradadhanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva, of Krishna, by serving the devotees who are completely free from all vice. And Prabhupada, in discussing this verse, he also makes the point that it's not just the most elevated devotees, but it's just, any sincere soul who's trying to render service, trying to render devotional service. If we serve them, if we serve the devotees, then we, as a result, we get an affinity, means like an attraction, for hearing the messages of Vasudeva, of Lord Krishna. And the question can arise that how is it we serve a devotee or some devotees, and the result we get is we become attracted now to hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, as a result of serving the devotees. It's arguable that even though both things are nice, serving the devotees is nice, getting an attraction to hearing about Krishna is nice, but they're not exactly directly connected, like intrinsically connected. Like if you take prasadam, then if you're hungry and you take prasadam, then your hunger is removed. And it's just very straightforward relationship between taking the prasadam and now your hunger is satisfied. It's just very, it's very clear what the connection is. But serving the devotees and developing an attraction for hearing about Krishna, they're both Krishna conscious, but, they're kind of different from each other. Just like separate good things in Krishna consciousness. So how does it work then, that as a natural consequence, that it just follows that by serving the devotees, you develop an attraction for hearing about Krishna. Well, the missing link, you could say, in a certain sense, is that Krishna appreciates if you serve the devotees, his devotees, because the devotees are very dear to Krishna. Even the new devotees are very dear to Krishna. What to speak of the much more experienced devotees. So you serve the devotees, Krishna becomes happy with you. And Krishna thinks, okay, what can I do? What would be like a really nice thing to do to reciprocate with you who serve the devotee? What would be a nice thing to do to help you in your Krishna consciousness and to develop an attraction for hearing about Krishna? That is very valuable, extremely helpful for your progress in Krishna consciousness. So when Krishna thinks, yeah, I would like to give this devotee who has been serving my devotees, I would like to give this devotee something really nice and helpful like that, then Krishna oftentimes feels like that. Let me give this devotee an attraction to hearing about me. And then in fact in the following verse, it's stated there that by rendering service, by serving the book Bhagavat and the devotee Bhagavat, that great service is done. And by that service, all the unwanted things within the heart are cleansed away practically, completely. That's verse 17. Yeah, by serving the two Bhagavats, the book and the devotee Bhagavat. And Prabhupada, in one class, he raised the question to the devotees, of these two Bhagavats, the book Bhagavat and the devotee Bhagavat, which one of the two is it more important and helpful to serve? And devotees, some said the book Bhagavat, some said the devotee, some said both. Cover your bases. But then Prabhupada said that actually it is more useful, beneficial, helpful to serve the devotee Bhagavat. Prabhupada said because the devotee Bhagavat can pull your ear. The book Bhagavat can sort of pull your ear also, but you can always put the book Bhagavat back on the bookshelf, and then it's not going to pull your ear so much. But the devotee Bhagavat may follow you around, sort of keep on you. What are you doing? Are you doing Krishna conscious activity? What are you doing? So the devotee Bhagavat can pull your ear. So anyway, these are just some thoughts, different thoughts from here and there about devotees, devotee association, developing your association with devotees, serving the devotees, and so on like that. Hare Krishna. Now I would like, if we have time, oh, it's only 8:30. The night is young. I'd like to have Bhakti Anugraha Janardhan Maharaj. Would you like, or would you be willing to say a few words?
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj, for your very wonderful and insightful way how to associate with the devotees and how we can make rapid advancement in Krishna consciousness. I just want to say one point also, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, that associating with the devotees can be also in 3 ways. Like there are devotees who are junior than us. There are also devotees the same level, peers. There's also devotees who are far more advanced than we are. So to those devotees who are junior than us, we give them our association, be more compassionate to them, understanding their nature, understanding their level of Krishna consciousness, and try to gradually lift them up to make more advancement in Krishna consciousness. And of course, it says in the Bhagavad Gita that when we associate with those who are more advanced than we are, then we should also serve them, which you emphasize quite nicely, and also humbly inquire from them, serve them menially. We should always understand that because the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, the mercy of the Supreme Lord flows like that from the supermost position of Lord Krishna towards Parampara, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada's disciples, and those who are following Srila Prabhupada. And amongst peers, you mentioned also we should have a devotee friend whom we can reveal our mind and share our Krishna consciousness. It's not necessarily that the devotee is nearby, close by. That devotee can be on the other side of the planet. We can communicate regularly, especially now there is advanced technology. We can call Messenger or WhatsApp. And from time to time, it's always good to ask how you're doing, and at the same time, getting some assurance that there's always someone who we can call. Because it's not possible to call or ask our Guru Maharaj, because he's also busy traveling, reaching out as many devotees as possible, and therefore it is a good practice to have even amongst God brothers, or not even amongst God brothers, even part of the family of Srila Prabhupada, to reach out. That's all I can say, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sutta Chaitanya Maharaj, would you like to say some words?
Thank you, Maharaj, for this discussion on devotees association. I just want to quote one point I read from Prabhupada, that if there is criticism of Vaishnava, if one is Brahmana, can defeat to protect that Vaishnava. If one is a Kshatriya, then he can cut the tongue. You mentioned about it. That's what a Kshatriya. And if one is a Vaishya, then he should leave the place, go away, do not hear. Like in the case of Kalidas, whenever there will be he would always close his eyes. He would never hear any prajalpa. He would just go wherever the devotees, he would ask the devotees their remnants of Jadu Thakur, mango, he would offer them mango, and he would be waiting, hiding. And when the wife would be throwing the mango seed and the mango peel, he would go and jump and take as Mahaprasad. So that was Jadu Thakur. And the last one is, if one Sudra, then it commits suicide. And that was done by Sati. Sati, who was, Lord Shiva was criticized, and Sati, she burned herself, committed suicide. But of course, Prabhupada did not tell us to do that. So one should not hear criticism. And a question, Maharaj, what is the opposite now of offending Vaishnava?
Well, the opposite is the opposite is to glorify. Yeah, just like there's the 10 offenses. So a good way to avoid them is not just to think, well, I must not criticize, or I must not think the demigods are, equal to, or all that. The sort of negative perspective, but positive is, I must always glorify the Vaishnavas. I must always glorify the Lord for being on a higher position than the demigods. I must always glorify the spiritual master and glorify the Vedic literatures, etc. Positive rather than just, I must not do something. Yeah, so we should praise the devotees, glorify the devotees, because even if a devotee has some fault, but it's not that the devotee is just all fault. There's also some good things there. So we should try to find those good things and appreciate the good things. That's why I tell the devotees, if you can only go to the temple on Sunday, and maybe there's a nice kirtan, you should go up to the devotee who led the kirtan and say, thank you for leading the kirtan, that was really nice. Or if it was nice prasadam, thank you for cooking such nice prasadam. Or the devotee who gave class, or just if the temple was really clean, express appreciation to devotees. Because even a devotee who has, arguably many disqualifications and shortcomings, but there's something good there. Actually, there's probably quite a lot good there. But Kali Yuga contamination includes that the tendency to see the bad is exaggerated. Yeah. See the good in yourself, even if there's hardly any, and see the bad in others. This is material consciousness. So we should do the opposite. Is that okay?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Messi Banko. Okay. Srila Prabhupada K.
Indeed, all these qualities are like the real ornaments of the Vaishnavas. Vaishnava Abhushan, these good qualities. And we should always strive to decorate ourselves with all these good qualities and get rid of all the bad qualities. For the association of like-minded devotees, like we are here tonight. Maharaj guided us in so many nice ways. I pointed out two, which we'll try to fulfill right now, Maharaj.